We're going to bring in accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. And then here in studio with us is former NASDAQ and business reporter Krysia Lenzo. Good morning to you both. Okay, let's start with those markets. They kicked the week off on a positive note, finishing the day up across the board. This morning, futures are also up ahead of the opening bell. All right, let's talk about the U.S. economy, which is on track to be actually knocked down into third place by India by the year of 2075. Now, that's according to research from Goldman Sachs. Krysia, I'm going to start with you. So to hear that the U.S. would be only the third largest economy in the world, I mean, what are we failing at?
Well, it's really a question of what other countries are also succeeding at. And in this case with India, they're succeeding at innovation, capital improvements, really infrastructure, building the country. And that's unfortunately what the U.S. is not doing as well. And that's why India is going to be second place down the line 2075. Yeah. So we're looking at all these numbers. Right now, they're in fifth place behind Germany, Japan, and China and the United States. So the fact that we're already having this prediction by Goldman Sachs, one of the top tier banks, we have to take it seriously and we have to catch up with the United States for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just keep with our...
Alex,
yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Let me say this, is that India, along with China, they're not worried about pronouns and about all the green economy stuff, right? They're focused in on how to build their nation.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Dan. I actually want to keep with our economy for a second. Florida, maybe red hot now, obviously for many reasons, but now you can add inflation to that. Dan, what exactly is going on with Florida that's got prices so high right now?
Well, anytime you're talking about inflation, it always goes back to supply and demand. Now, over the past year, Florida's population has grown more than any other state. Why? Because of their taxes, and it's just a better place to be. Now, what happens is Florida is simply having a housing shortage, and that's what's creating the inflation here. Rentals and purchasing homes, really, really tough, and costs are going up.
It's just so popular that now the prices, they're being jacked up. Krysia, do you find this interesting, just considering that Governor Ron DeSantis has gotten obviously so much credit for building up the Sunshine State through the pandemic and on?
Yeah, I do find this interesting because it really also has to do with consumer prices and people, where they're spending. To Dan's point, I mean, people are moving to Florida. DeSantis has been a draw for the state between the sunshine, the beaches, the zero to no taxes.
Yes.
There's so much going on in Florida that's positive. I hope they can bring the costs down, but it's, again, a supply and demand. You can't really time that as governor of a state and why people are coming to your state. If anything, that speaks well of him.
That's such a good point. Exactly. Well, July 4th weekend was a rough one for air travelers, as we talked about. And industry experts, they actually don't even see the travel woes easing up anytime soon, unfortunately. Dan, obviously we know that the weather didn't help. That was quite a factor. But what are the airlines still struggling with at this point?
Well, anytime you're in an airport these days, and I don't know if you've experienced this lately, but the lines, the delays, it's a disaster wherever you go. Why is that happening? Well, it's happening partially because there's a lot of shortages that the airlines are experiencing, particularly with pilots, which is not a good sign. So I think what we're experiencing here is an industry that is in overwhelm, and they're certainly not getting good direction from the Department of Transportation, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And like they were saying, even if, we have pilots that are coming through a program, it takes years for them to even get in the cockpit to fly the plane. So it could be years before we see the pilot shortage even easing up. But this is a positive one. So the movies could be seeing a bit of a comeback as the summer box office seems to be heating up. Krysia, I know you're excited about one of these films. They're generating thousands in ticket sales, pre-sales already, 20,000 in kind of a double box office day. Tell me about these movies.
So it's a weird combination because here we have the Barbie movie, which is sunshine and roses and pink. And then you have Oppenheimer, which is essentially the exact opposite. It's a thriller. But what they're doing at the box office July 21st is they're combining the two, which is a very weird situation, but it will be about a 5-hour doubleheader. Wow. People can go to the movies and check both of them out at the exact same time, back to back. I personally would just see the Barbie movie, but if you're in for it, you can do a doubleheader.
I'm kind of into Oppenheimer because I love Cillian Murphy. I love Christopher Nolan, the director. That one looks so much fun. And I also saw that Margot Robbie got tickets to go see Oppenheimer already. So they're kind of seeing each other's movies, which I think is fantastic. Bring people back to the movie theater. Amazon's annual Prime Day, we know, kicks off today. Everyone's excited about it. But just not willing are people actually to shop today, especially in this economy. Dan, are there any signs that people are pulling back their spending right now?
I don't think so. I think that we're going to see a lot of spending here. And part of the reason why is even if people don't have the cash on hand, you know what they're doing? They're going to credit cards because we're seeing credit card debt for people going sky high. So I think people will be shopping for Amazon, TVs, tech items. And you know what else is a hot one? Those massage guns. Have you ever used those? Those things are fantastic.
Wait, that's so funny because one of our makeup artists this morning, she was talking about, she's like, those massage guns, they're on sale on Amazon Prime and I'm going to snag one. So that's so funny that you brought that up today.
They are seeing a bit of declines though. Amazon, even people have less discretionary spending when they're buying those tech items that Dan just talked about. So it's 15% down as opposed to last year. But to his point as well, we're seeing everyone spending on tech, and that's where the deals are to be had. If you need AirPods, they're about $100 as opposed to $130. So great savings.
There you go. So technology is the thing to get.
Yes.
Got it. Dan Geltrude, Krysia Lenzo, thank you much for coming on this morning. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.